Hi everybody, it's Melissa here, just starting on my third card of my Halloween card series, and I'm using an image from CC Designs Laugh Lines called Pumpkin, and I colored it in a previous video. You'll see the link here in the upper left hand corner of the screen, and I just cut that out with my Spellbinders large circle dies and then matted that onto a piece of ebony black cardstock that I cut with the scalloped circle Spellbinder dies as well. And then the paper that you'll see me using here, I used a piece of gray cardstock from the DCWV Ghost and Goblins matte stack. I believe I picked that up at Michael's actually last year, so I've had it for probably about a year or so. And then the paper itself, I picked out some pattern paper from the Cloud9 Designs Halloween paper pack. And I'm using one particular pattern paper as the main paper, and then I cut out different circles with other pieces of paper that I found in the pattern paper pack, just applying them with my Tombow Mono Multi glue and just different places, trying to stay around the edge of the card. I want to use the colored image as the main focal point. So I'm just using the glue to apply them around the edges. It doesn't matter if they hang over a little bit. I'm going to snip those off here in a little bit as well. So just applying those random places, trying not to put two pieces that match each other next to each other. And then I take my paper snips, or my little paper scissors, and I'm going to turn the cardstock over and just snip over any part of the circles that actually hang over the edge. And I apologize, I didn't realize until I was editing the video to actually put it online that I was completely off camera for a majority of the paper cutting. So I'm really sorry about that, but really just, turning the card over and then using that as my focal point as I'm trimming. Trying very carefully to stay away from trimming the gray cardstock itself and just using that as kind of my ruler when I'm cutting the rest of it off. So I just did that real quickly and then went ahead and turned the card over, and it's just got that clean edge look that we want for the card itself. So checked again to make sure that I had everything lined up, and then I'm going to add some embellishments. So I reached for some orange satin ribbon that I picked up at a local craft store. I'm going to add that as kind of a central band across the card and then tie a bow on one side as well. So I just wrapped that around the cardstock and then used a little bit of tape to adhere that and keep that in place while I tie my bow. So when you're tying a bow, you always want to grab more ribbon than you think you're going to need when tying the bow. If you use what you think you'll need, you'll end up having a more difficult time actually tying the bow. It's always easier to have more material. So you'll notice I used a rather large piece of ribbon, but that gave me the ability to actually work with the ribbon and fix it and create the size and the shape of bow that I really wanted on the card itself. So always cut more than you need. You can trim it off. If you have too little, you're going to end up cutting another piece of ribbon and starting from scratch. So it's just easier to cut more than you need. So you see I got the ribbon tied, got it positioned where I wanted for my bow, and then I'm just snipping off the excess pieces. And then I grabbed some three-dimensional pop-up adhesive and then applied that to the back of my main image. Wanted to pop it up off the card a little bit. And then once I've got that popped up, what I decided was that I had this, beautiful ribbon and bow tied off on the right side, and the left side was kind of blank, so I wanted to add some embellishment there. I did something that I don't normally do. I decided to reserve the sentiment for the inside of the card rather than having a sentiment on the outside. And then also because the image is a little bit larger, it didn't leave a lot of room on the card itself for the sentiment on the front. So I decided to leave that for the inside. And I'm using just a piece of plastic. I don't remember what these things are called because I don't do a lot of string or embroidery thread art. but I found it at Joann's. I'm sure Michael's and other craft stores have it, but I used it as a ruler to make sure that the holes that I'm punching for my brads are evenly spaced. And I like having the circle one because with a circular cut image like this, it just matches the card so much better. So I used that to punch the holes out with my We Are Memory Keepers piercing and brad setting tool, and then put in some black brads, and then just finish them off again by leveling them out with that We Are Memory Keepers tool. And then before I add the adhesive to the back, I'm going to tape down the back of the brads just to make sure that my ATG gun can roll over those without getting stuck, because that would be really bad. But I went ahead and just ready to apply it to the front of the cardstock. So I grabbed that ATG gun, added a little bit of adhesive, and added a little extra to the couple of sides just to make sure that those brads stay in place and the card itself is attached securely. So the card stock that I'm using for my card base is my ebony black cardstock, very simple regular A2 sized card. So with that completed, I decided to move on to the middle of the card, or the inside of the card. Keeping the same pattern paper, I decided to switch it up a little bit. On the front of the card, I used the stripe paper as a horizontal stripe and decided to use it as a vertical stripe on the inside just to change it up a little bit. But I took the same pattern paper pack, cut out some more circles with one of my punches, and then used the same technique that I used on the front of the card. Pulled out my Tombow Money Multi Glue and then applied those circles randomly to different places on the card itself. I went ahead again, same thing. I had a couple of the circles hanging over, and then I will go ahead and just flip this over again, very much like the first time on the front of the card. I'm going to just trim all the edges and everything off here. This is actually a really quick card to put together. If you're somebody who likes to put these together in mass quantities, you can trim all of the circles out at the same time and put everything together a lot more quickly that way. The hardest part, or not the hardest part, but the most time-consuming part of the card is actually coloring the image itself. So you'll notice that's why I always typically do the coloring video separately, so that we don't have like a half-hour video of me trying to put this together. But kept everything together. I cut out another piece of white cardstock with the circle die, as well as the scalloped circle in the black cardstock, and then used that to create a place where you can write a little message to your recipient. And I decided after I made the card that I'm actually going to use this to send my annual Halloween package to my niece that lives out in Illinois. So she'll be getting this card with her Halloween packet from Auntie and Uncle. Just doesn't know it yet. So she's 6. I'm sure she's not watching the video online. So just applied that circle to the middle of my card, and then I used my ATG gun to adhere the inside of the card to the card's base, and then realized after I had done that I had forgotten to put my sentiment in. So I went ahead and grabbed my Amy R. Ghostly Greetings sentiment stamps, and I inked up the Halloween with Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I stamped that into the lower portion of the circle on the inside of the card. And then after that, I grabbed the Happy from the same sentiment, only this time I inked that up with Memento Grape Jelly ink, and then stamped that onto the inside of the card as well. So now I have Happy Halloween. Still have plenty of room to write a little message to my niece, but that way she's got a little sentiment in there as well. And that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.